As Zelensky reshuffled his cabinet, he rarely sent a Russia-friendly signal, claiming that Ukraine and Russia should step up their negotiation process. This statement immediately received a positive response from Putin. Kremlin spokesperson Peskov praised it as a positive sign, stating that Russia and Ukraine hit it off and agreed to increase the momentum for their negotiations. This can be said to be a rare consensus reached between Russia and Ukraine on the issue of negotiations since the years-long crisis, and it may also reflect that both sides now hope to resolve the crisis as soon as possible. In practical terms, the protracted Ukraine crisis over the past few years has indeed caused huge losses to both Russia and Ukraine. According to Ukrainian data, Russia has suffered more than 100,000 military casualties, but Ukraine itself has also suffered heavy losses. Moreover, Ukraine has lost approximately one-fifth of its territory, along with coastal ports, massive economic resources, and population. Russia certainly hopes to reduce its losses, and Ukraine feels the same. In the early stages of the conflict, Russia and Ukraine engaged in negotiations for a period, but they ended on a sour note. Since Trump became U.S. president again, under pressure from the United States, Kyiv chose to hold new negotiations with Moscow, yet these talks also failed to reach an agreement. Now, Zelensky has suddenly taken the initiative to show a positive stance on negotiations, which has received a positive response from Putin. This indeed suggests to some extent that the situation of the Russia-Ukraine conflict may see a new turning point in the future. However, things are hardly that simple, as this protracted crisis involves numerous complex variables, and the outcome cannot be determined by a single statement from both sides. First, mutual trust between Russia and Ukraine is almost non-existent, and their demands are sharply opposed. Zelensky insists that Russia must withdraw its troops, provide compensation, and even be held accountable. Russia, on the other hand, insists that Ukraine must not join NATO and must recognize Russia's current control over Ukrainian territories. Such diametrically opposed positions make it extremely difficult for the two sides to reach common ground. Second, shifts in the attitudes of the United States and the European Union will influence Ukraine's stance. Trump has now announced the resumption of support for Ukraine, and Washington has even issued a 50-day ultimatum to Moscow. In Zelensky's view, this signals a shift in U.S. posture. As for the EU, it goes without saying, having already adopted a new round of sanctions against Russia, its position is clear, and Ukraine is certainly satisfied with this. If Kyiv believes there is hope in continuing the fight, it may not truly commit to reaching a negotiated outcome with Russia. Third, Zelensky himself may not genuinely want to push forward with negotiations. This could be another delaying tactic, a scenario that has occurred before. The earlier negotiations between Russia and Ukraine bought Ukraine time to catch its breath. Russia believes that once Western support arrived, Kyiv backtracked and abandoned the talks, which is why the crisis has persisted to this day. Fourth, Russia is not easily fooled. Although Russia has consistently shown a positive stance on negotiations, its military operations have rarely ceased. Even U.S. media outlet CNN has complained that, because Trump gave Putin 50 days, Russian troops are now stepping up their actions to strengthen control over the frontline situation. Ukrainian officials claim that Russia may soon escalate its summer offensive. Currently, approximately 160,000 Russian troops have assembled, forming an encirclement around key Ukrainian frontline towns such as Pokrovsk. If the Ukrainian military's retreat routes are cut off again, Ukraine will suffer even greater losses. Therefore, despite the positive negotiation signals sent by both Zelensky and Putin, this does not mean that the Russia-Ukraine conflict crisis will ease immediately. Especially when considering the actual situation, Ukraine and Russia each have their own plans and objectives. Trump claims he can quickly end the Russia-Ukraine conflict, but after several twists and turns, neither Russia nor Ukraine has yielded to U.S. pressure. This is, to some extent, a stalemate, and breaking it may require more time.